Erwin, we're going to talk a little bit about you moving to Colebrook. Your folks moved to Colebrook in 1913?
1912.
1912.
But in the fall, and the superintendent thought we better, instead of going to the grade that we was supposed we was in, we better go back and finish the grade the back of that, see, and get used to the place and the people. We just come from the farm out there, the woods, and we never didn't know anything about anything, really.
Was there quite a difference in the school, Erwin? Was there quite a difference in the school?
Yes, there's quite a difference. Out there, we went to a little schoolhouse that has been built, and here, of course, all the kids got together.
You came right here and went to Colebrook Academy, right?
No, when we came here, I finished up that year.
What, your 8th grade?
In the 7th grade.
7th grade?
And my sister finished up in the 8th grade. Well, we were supposed to go. I was supposed to go in the 8th grade, and my sister was supposed to go in high school. But the super thought that to be better for us to wait a year, that put that half year in to get acquainted and get used to the people, because he knew we come from the backwoods.
And you came to Colebrook because your school in Wentworth location only went to the 8th grade, right?
Yeah, we came from Wentworth location.
And your folks rented a house on Park Street?
Yeah, we rented that, and Father rented that house where Gooch is now. And then after 2 or 3 years, he bought what's his name? Let's see now. I can't think of the fellow's name that owned it, but he was moving down to Boston, moving away. And he wanted to sell it. He owned 2 or 3 houses here in town. So my father bought it instead of trying to move and find another rent. And after that, he started fixing it up, and he done a lot of work on that place.
You graduated from the Colebrook Grammar School in 1914?
No, I graduated in grammar school in 1919. Yeah.
No, that would be the academy.
That's the academy.
Yeah, 1919 from the academy.
Yeah.
If you hadn't moved to Colebrook, the only place you could have gone to school was Andover?
Yeah, Andover or Berlin. My father went to Berlin. He looked around quite a bit. He didn't know when he might find a place to buy there in Berlin. It'd be better to move there than it would be to move to Dixville Notch. But he didn't find anything to suit him, so he bought that place in Colebrook. That's why he made a big mistake.
Why is that, Erwin?
Of course, he'd been better off no matter where he'd gone. He'd gone over back of Big Lake and had built a place. He'd been better off and coming out here to Colebrook.
Because you liked it better over there, Erwin?
Yeah, I like it better most anywhere than I do in Colebrook.
How about your mother and father? Were they sorry they moved there?
What's that?
What about your mother and father? Were they sorry that they moved?
Oh, yes. But my father wasn't here anyway. When we moved there, he was working for the Brown Company most of the time. And he'd go in the woods. If he didn't have a job of his own, logging job, he'd go scaling sometimes and stay all winter scaling for the Brown Company.
Oh, times were kind of rough back then, weren't they?
I've taken him up to First Connecticut Lake and left him, and he walked across the dam up there and go across the woods, cross from Swift Diamond onto Dead Diamond, and walk up Dead Diamond and find the camp where he's going to work. You couldn't lose my father in the woods, you know.
No? Because he was a pretty good guide, huh?
Oh, very good. He knew the woods. Let me tell you, just the same as you and I know Main Street down at Colebrook. But let me go out in the woods, and if I'm not careful, I'll get lost. And that's because I haven't been there too much.
Well, World War I broke out. That must have been kind of tough trying to find a job, wasn't it?
Oh, yes. It was tough there for quite a while during the Depression. And,
now, Bernice and Marion graduated from Colebrook,
yeah.
and then Bernice got married right off after school?
Yes, Bernice graduated in 1917. Marion graduated to 19, I think it's 19, well, it must have been less than 1923. It was Marion, because it might not have been, but about 1923 that Marion graduated. And it was kind of tough times for her, but we all took a household, and what little we could, turned it in, and I worked every damn minute I could. Of course, a lot of times I couldn't find a job, but when I couldn't find a job, I'd go out and we'd go in the woods, and Father and I cut 2 years of supply of soapwood at one time, and John Lennon and I cut 2 years supply of wood one time. So there's always something to do, you know, if you want to do it. Trouble is that a lot of people, you know, they rave about the hard times, but they wouldn't do anything. They didn't want to do anything. We never saw a time yet, but what there was always some damn thing to do if you wanted to do it. Hell, I'd have gone out and bought a steel bill and picked shit through the hands for a loaf. And when Eddie was going to college and wanted the money,
so Bernice,
I wanted to help him all I could.
When Bernice graduated, she taught school, right?
No, Bernice never taught school. Marion taught school.
Marion taught school?
For a couple of years.
So Bernice met Grandpa George and got married before she did anything?
Bernice married George Bennett when she was, you know, just a kid. She was about, I don't know. I don't remember how old she was. She couldn't have been more than, well, she died when she was 26.
Yeah.
And she had 3 boys. She must have been about 1920 when she married.
So when she got married, where did they live?
When they first got married, they lived in, I think they lived in, over in Vermont. Mr. Bandel owned a farm over there. You remember where that was?
Yeah.
There was one end of it that was empty, made for a kitchen, for a rent. And I think they stayed there for a while. And then they stayed at that place most of the time.
Your grandfather Flint died in January 1919.
Yeah, 1919.
Yeah, and I heard that there was a blizzard when he died, and that you couldn't even go out and go to his funeral because of the storm.
That's right. The snow was so deep. Of course, they didn't plow any roads then, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Even the main road from here down Stratford never was plowed then. And everybody had to put the automobiles up in the wintertime. And we put ours up for quite a few winters.
Well, what did you do in the winter? Did you use a sleigh then?
You had to use sleds and sleighs if you went anywhere. And,
well, after your grandfather Flint died, when you finally got back out to see your grandmother, you brought her back to live with you, right?
Yeah, my grandfather died right after we left there to come out here. He died that winter. And that is about 2 winters afterwards, he died. And Aunt Laura's husband, Louis Coy, died the same time. Louis Coy was working for the Brown Company, trucking up to the Meadows on the Ziscos Lake. And my grandfather was on the farm, stayed on the farm, and they had a couple of cows that they kept them the year round, you know, and they had the milk and they had the cream and they made cheese and they made butter, made their own butter. And then they had a beef creature they killed every fall. After the weather got cold enough to freeze it up. You see, they didn't have any refrigeration then, Pat.
Right. You used blocks of ice, right?
And you didn't have anything to put your meat in to keep it. So they had to wait till it got cold enough so they could hang it out and freeze it up. And then they had the 2 or 3 hogs they killed. They had all kinds of pork chops and pork roast and ham, and had hams. And they lived pretty good. People used to live pretty good on the farms.
When your folks finally bought the house on Park Street, did they get some of the money from selling that house out in McGalloway?
I don't know what my father did get for that house when he sold it. I never asked him, and he never told me. That's a funny thing too. He could have, he would have, but asked him, you know, he never happened to think about it.
I was told that your folks paid $1,300 for that house on Park Street.
Oh, that's
$1,300.
That's what we paid for
the Park Street.
Well, I imagine that's about right.
Yeah.
And that's about all it's worth. Houses was awful cheap then, you know, Pat. And
your Aunt Laura lost a little girl too, right?
Yeah, Aunt Laura lost Harriet.
How did she die?
She died the same way that Marion did. I don't know whether it's from the flu or what it was. Might have been from that German flu that went through.
And then Laura moved on Park Street someplace beside you, right?
Yeah. She was, Aunt Laura come out here. She rented a place up over, on Park Street, up over where Finley had his office. John Finley. You know where that was?
No.
Well, I don't know who is in there now, but they rented a place up there. They had a nice little rent. She brought Harriet out here so Harriet could go to school. That was the trouble living out in McGalloway and out in West Location, that places. You know, you had no school for your young ones. And so she come out here and rented that place, and then Harriet died out here. And then Madeline, she got my aunt, Harold McGinley's mother, bought a place down in Tilton, New Hampshire, for Harold to go to school. She thought that Harold, this school wasn't good enough, this Colebrook school. Well, it probably wasn't. But anyway, she bought a place down in Tilton, New Hampshire. She sent Harold to school there, and he went to New Hampshire University 2 years, and then he quit and got married to Ilsa, and they lived down below the mountains there a little way somewhere. And then after a little while, it was gone too long for my Aunt Mary and Neil her husband, both died. They both died about the same time. Of course, the house up there, then the post office, that big house. You know that's a big house, Pat.
Yes, I've got a picture of that, Erwin.
And then they gave that to Harold. He was their only child, although they adopted Doris, a girl, to help from my aunt. And so when they died, they gave every damn thing to Harold. They didn't give Doris a damn thing.
No, that wasn't too fair, was it?
I thought that was a damn cheap thing to do. She was adopted. She was really one of the family,
Mm-hmm.
And she worked hard for my aunt. And she was a nice girl. She married guy working for the Brown Company. They lived down in Berlin. Then they moved down to Gorham. She died down in Gorham.
How did you do in school in Colebrook, Erwin?
How did what?
How did you do in school?
How did I do?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I didn't do too good. I passed. But they kicked me out after that. Then fellows put a big firecracker. They cut a cantaloupe, opened halfway, took the wick out, see, and hitched it onto the firecracker. And set it off down in the ventilator. They didn't know when it was going off. Nobody did. It depended on how fast it burned. Well, the damn thing went off. I went downstairs and I come back up. And I didn't know anything about the damn thing. I didn't know if there was a firecracker down there. Come back up and all over, boom! They thought the place was going to pieces. The English teacher painted away. She said that before that, she was reading out of the Bible. And she's down front. And at the academy building, the main building, the main room was large, quite large. And she'd get down front and stand up there and read a piece out of the Bible. Well, they got through the seniors. She sat way back in the back end. She'd read a little bit, and one of them would go, Amen. Then somebody on the other side would go, Amen. And then after a while, the juniors took it up, and the sophomores and even the freshmen, they would go, Amen, all over the place. And she said, I'll go stand in the back there. So she took a book and went in back of the building, back of that school building, the house where they had the main room. She stood right in front of that ventilator. Whatever, she went over sideways, and Chet Norris was there. He caught her. He hung on to one. So one bicycle ticket to the show and see her. Chet had this English teacher on his knee, and he was fathom her.
What was her name, Erwin? Do you remember? What was the teacher's name? Do you remember?
I think her name was Bennett.
Really? No relation?
No relation, no. It was some Bennett that had come from down below.
So they sent you home? They sent you home for that, Erwin?
No, but they didn't send me home. Yeah, that's what they sent me home for.
For how long?
For about, more than a month. About pretty 2 months, and I commenced to think they weren't going to let me back. And then after they sent a lot of people home, but they let them come right back. But me, oh no, I was a billion. They wouldn't let me back because I must have set that off, and the rest of them didn't.
Did you know who did it?
Well, I didn't know who did it. I didn't know it was going off. I didn't know any more about it than you did. And well, that's all right. I went home and I hung around that winter and I missed them all my first year exams. They wouldn't let me make them up. Well, they couldn't make them up because they weren't going to let me back. But after a while, the old Charles O. Stevens, the goddamned old fool, he was on the school board. Everybody thought Charles O. Stevens was something, you know. Yeah, I wish they knew him as well as I did. And so he was on the school board, and they never did a damn thing about finding out who set the firecracker off. And after a while, I bought some clothes from Dean Gilkey. And I got outfitted and was all ready to go in the woods. Had a job to go up for that guy that lived right beside the high school. And he had a logging job, and I had a job to go and work for him. Of course, I was pretty good with an axe anyway, all the time. And it come handy to me. And I got ready to go in. Before I went, Richard. See, Richard, Charles O's son was Charles O's son. And he was below me in school, but he was in the same building. And after he found out his father, they weren't going to let me back in school, and he went up to his father and he says, "Dad," he says, "Erwin didn't set that firecracker off." He said he didn't know any more about it than you did. He says, "I did that, and J. Forbes and I set that firecracker off." Then you think the damned old fool would come and apologize to me and let me come back and make up a few.
Did he let you come back?
No, he never said a word, never mentioned it, never did. I used to play poker with a damned old fool a lot of times, and I'd just wait, you know, so I'd get a good hand, he'd open it, and I could raise him, and I'd put the boots to him all I could.
Now, how old were you when that happened, Erwin?
How
old were you when that happened?
Oh, when that happened, I was let's see, how old would I be? I was 18. I was 19 when I graduated, and I was probably about 17 or 18.
How long did you play basketball, Erwin?
Oh, just a couple of years.
What position did you play? What position did you play?
I played guard. I couldn't play basketball anyway. To play basketball, you got to be big and you got to be rugged and you got to be fast, just like playing football. And it's a good idea to be tall to play basketball.
You weren't tall enough?
And I wasn't. I was tall enough, but I wasn't fast enough. I couldn't run fast enough. And I played guard.
Who were the good ones on your team, Erwin?
Who
were the good ones on your team?
Well, I don't remember. I know Lyle French played on the team. He was a catcher on my baseball team. I was a pitcher.
No, on the basketball team.
On the baseball team. Mm-hmm. Then on the I don't know who played on the. Lyle played on the basketball team, but I don't remember who the others were.
But you were better at baseball.
Oh yes, I was good. I was a pretty good baseball player, Pat.
You played baseball while you were in school and then afterwards, right?
Yeah, I played while I was in school. We played the town team, 60 and 40% of the charges of the pay would go to the winner. Winner gets 60% and the loser gets 40%. By God, we beat the town team. And then they had a town team after that. It was a real good team, I'm telling you. You knew Pat Meehan, did you?
No, I didn't.
Well, he was some pitcher. By golly, he was a good pitcher. And then they had a catcher. They come from the Boston, come from down in Massachusetts somewhere. He was a hell of a good catcher. And they didn't have they had a first baseman, but he wasn't there part of the time. When he wasn't there, I played first base. And that's where I wanted to play anyways, first base. That's where I always liked to play. And Albert St. Peter, you know him.
No.
He was a clerk for George Cummings.
He played on the baseball team?
Yeah, and he played in minor league down in Portland. He was come up and was working there at the Colebrook. So he played, and he was a damn good player. So in all, they had a damn good town team. They never got beat, as far as I know. They played all around everywhere. You just play on Sundays, you know. But this guy playing first base, he wasn't there all the time, only about half the time. I don't think he was there half the time. When he wasn't there, that would tickle me, because I played first base. And I like to play first base.
How long did you play on the town team?
Oh, it was only a couple of years.
Then you got married?
No, but I went to work. I went to work somewhere. I was in the... I don't know just where I did go away. I worked all around everywhere, and any time I could get anything to do.
In 1919, they enacted prohibition. George started bootlegging into Canada.
1919?
Yeah, did you help him?
No, I never bootlegged. I hauled a little bit for him, but no, I never did for myself.
There were stills in Colebrook, right?
Yeah.
Do you know anybody that had stills?
No.
I understood that Grandpa George would rather bootleg than have a real job.
Well, yeah, he used to. And George got caught once, you know. He had a coal automobile, a good one. So the name of it was a Coal.
Really?
And they took the car away from him and took his jack and his rifle. They took everything up on the Canaan Hill. But he bought him back. He bought the car back. He didn't say how much he paid for it. I imagine he got it pretty cheap.
So he didn't have to go to jail?
No, George never went to jail. Mr. Banville never went to jail, really. He come up here for a year. But while he was up here, he was fireman. Supposed to be in jail, and he was a fireman, see. And he'd go down the street. Every day he'd walk down the street anytime he wanted to and back. And
so they weren't very strict with him then, were they?
So they weren't really very anxious to keep him here. They knew that Fred wouldn't do anything, you know, bad. Just the idea was that it was the law, and they had to punish him that way.
What did your folks think of George bootlegging?
What?
What did your folks think of George bootlegging?
Oh, they didn't think anything about it. They didn't care. They didn't know about it anyway.
Do you remember when my father was born in your house?
Oh, yes.
Were you there when he was born?
Yeah. I know one time we took I don't remember what kind of a car we had, but I know the roads were rough. There was no roads anyway. We took this car, and George had 8 quarts of high wine. Now that high wine that they used to get from Canada was a damn good drink. I know, because I tried it. And you take that and thin it down a little bit. Sometimes they thin it a third, sometimes it's in a half water, and it's a darn good drink. We used to always take some of that to the dances with us. And
where did you meet Simon, Erwin?
Oh, I met her down at the town hall. Town hall, Bluebird, I can't remember.
At a dance?
I guess the Bluebird, yeah. She's come down from, she came down from Canada, from Beecher Falls and Canaan and Canada. Her folks don't come from Canada, because she was born in West Georgetown, Riverside. She was born in Riverside. And come down to those dances. They got so they're big enough so they could dance. And they could all dance like a son of a gun. Simon and Juliet, her sister, and Doobie, the one that married Dalton Turner, and then there was another one. I think it had 4 girls. They used to come to those dances. And I used to watch them, of course. I didn't have a partner. I just go and I have a good time. That's all I wanted. And there was about 4 of them, and all the fellows were dancing with them. And I could watch them. And I watched Simon dance. And I said, by God, she's a good dancer. I guess I'll try that. So I went and asked her for a dance, which I didn't know of. She said, sure. And from that time on, I used to dance with her a lot.
Was it love at first sight?
Oh, I wasn't no love. I never loved anybody, really, except, I probably loved Simon, but that's all. But I know she was an awful good dancer. She was the best dancer they had there was in this town. And I don't give a damn what anybody says. I've danced with all of them.
What your folks think of her?
And I was a fair dancer, Pat. But I wasn't the best by no means. But I was probably a little better than the average. But she was good. She was the best. You couldn't get her out of step if you tried.
Did you used to go to the Bluebird with George and Furnace?
Oh, I used to go to Bluebird we went all the time. That's the best place we ever went to a dance.
Did you have your own car then, Erwin?
Yeah, I had my own car then. I had a Hudson car then. I used to work up the garage when that dance was on. They'd always come up and play Saturday. And play for dance Saturday. But they didn't give you too much time, you know. And there was a fellow in Groveton and one in Lancaster and 2 in Berlin. And they were all damn good dancers. And they'd get there first. The girls, those girls I was telling you about, including Simon, would hire up Bud Colwell, take him over to Bluebird early. See, I couldn't because I was working. And I'd go home just as quick as I could, and I'd be all shaved. I'd shave the night before, so I wouldn't have to shave. And I did what I could before, and hustled right along, and And I got ready just quick as I could. And go right over to the Bluebird with my car, the Hudson. And sometimes I get over there just in time for the last dance. And Simon always kept the last waltz for me. Because she knew I was coming after her. And that's the only time I danced with her. The only dance I could get with her. Couldn't get a dance earlier. Them fellas down below would get here early and get her dance card and fill it right up. But they were good dancers, every one of them.
When you married Simon, she moved into your folks' house, right?
What's that?
When you got married to Simon, she moved right into your folks' house, right?
That's right. Down here on Park Street.
Did your folks like her?
Oh, folks didn't care. Oh, they liked Simon. Both of my folks liked Simon very much. She was an awful good to them. She used to help my mother. She was a great hand to clean, Simon was. She'd rather clean than cook, you know. She'd do all the cleaning, and my mother do the cooking. Boy, that place was pretty neat there for quite a while.
Your mother was quite the cook, wasn't she?
My mother was the best cook in the country. Regardless, there was no better cook than my mother that side of the Mississippi River.
I was told that they diagnosed Bernice as having the flu when she got sick. They thought she had the flu?
They thought Marion had the flu. Probably Bernice did too, I don't know.
Bernice moved in with you for about a year before she died.
Yeah, and then Bernice moved right in with us, and my mother took care of her.
Her and the three boys?
Huh?
She took care of her and the three boys?
Gordon wasn't there too much. He was there some. Oh, quite a lot, you know, off and on. He'd come over and play with Freddie. Freddie lived with us all the time. And Gordon would come over and play with Freddie, and they'd play some, but Winston never was there much, because he was the youngest one. And he never was there too much. I don't know, I can't seem to remember what happened to Winston. He, when he was a young fella, I know they lived in 2 or 3 places.
Bernice died in February. I understood it was like spring before the mourners left your house. They stayed right there with you for a while?
I think it was February, I don't remember.
Yeah. And then your father's father died right about the same time.
Yeah,
He died in February that year.
My father died in the spring. The men are living in my house down there when I was married. That place was full.
Yeah, your Uncle Spoff, Flint, moved in, right?
Yeah, and Uncle Spoff, he left right after we married. Well, he had to. Well, I didn't have room. Simone and I slept in one room, and then my grandmother was there. I don't think my grandmother was there then, though. Couldn't have been.
Your grandmother moved in with Aunt Laura, right?
Yeah, my grandmother lived with us all the time until my mother died, you know. She lived right with us till my mother died. And she hated, did she hate to go back out to the north. Poor old lady.
Your sister, Marion, she taught 1 year in Colebrook, right?
Who was that?
Your sister.
Yeah, I think 2 years.
Where in Colebrook did she teach?
She taught grade school out in the country somewhere. I don't know, but there's a bracket school up there on the hill there. That used to be a schoolhouse, you know, up there on the hill. Up by, Hughes used to live at the foot of the hill. the Hughes family. And right up the hill and to the right, there was a schoolhouse, and someone bought it and built it over, I think, into a house.
Did Marion like teaching?
No, she didn't like it at all.
Was she sick very long before she died, Erwin? Was she sick very long before she died?
No, not too long. Died that winter. Just a little while that winter. She died so damn quick it surprised everybody. Of course, we had all the doctors that we could to come and examine her and see, and they all told us the same thing. We thought she'd be all right. But by golly, all at once she died.
Your folks must have been pretty upset. They lost a lot of people in a few years' time.
Yeah. What they should have done is taken her to Hanover or to Boston or someplace where the doctors were better. But they didn't know back then. You got down it, you couldn't go anywhere. You didn't have any cars. And cars couldn't run. The roads weren't plowed. So you had to put up with what you had.
Who was your doctor back then, Erwin?
Right?
Who was the doctor back then?
Well, see, I think Dr. Jones was the doctor then.
You got married to Simon January 12th, 1929.
Yeah.
And then in May 3rd, 1929, they had the flood.
Yeah, I think that's right. In May, they had the flood.
Where were you when they had the flood?
Next spring.
What were you doing the day they had the flood, Erwin?
I went out to Arrow with a load of gasoline. I was working for Nash. And I went out there with a load of gasoline for Cleve West. That's when they didn't get any gasoline from Berlin or anywhere, and so they got it from here. And I went right through that district while they had the flood, say, just before it happened. And I got out there, got unloaded, and someone called up and wanted to know if I was there, and they said yes. And they said, tell me that the roads are all out, and I can't get back to Colebrook, to the north. Well, I said, that's all right. I can go down to the 30-mile woods and cross over to Groveton, come up that way. That's the way I did come. And when I got there, when I come in by the Monadnock house up there where the grammar school is, I could see the street down below was wet and it had drained off. So the water must have been pretty high at times.
Someone told me that they recommend that your folks leave the house because of the flood, but they wouldn't leave.
Who?
Your folks?
My folks?
Yeah, your folks. Your mother and father?
I don't remember. I don't think that flood from that had fallen out there, the bottom going out. I don't think that would affect much anyway. And this upsets a lot of places alongside of it, but I don't think it bothered you. It wouldn't get up to that place. It didn't do a bit of harm.
No. You were working for Colebrook Oil then?
I was working for Harry Marsh.
Harry Marsh?
I had 4 lawyers come up here.
When did you start working for Colebrook Oil?
Oh, gosh, I don't know.
You worked there quite...
Oh, Colebrook Oil. When I worked for Colebrook Oil, that was in 1950.
And how long did you work there with?
I worked just 20 years. 1970, I got through. retired. But if I retired too soon, I guess, the way things turned out.
You wish you'd have stayed working.
If I could see and get around, I'd go to work right now again. Somewhere if I find a job. This being laid up every time some little thing happens to you, that never suited me. I never was laid up in my life till just now. I got blind 6 years ago.
In 1929, the stock market crashed. Your mother went to work. Had she worked before then, Erwin?
Who?
Your mother.
She was for a couple places.
She worked at Weeks Tavern, right?
Yeah.
For Sam Weeks?
Yeah, she worked at Weeks Tavern. And that was a pretty good hotel at that time, you know. That used to be a hospital, too.
That's where Nugent's is now, right?
That's where Nugent is now, yeah.
Your mother she cooked there, right?
She cooked. And she cooked there, and Simon worked up to, at that time, she worked up to either Charlie Hills or a place on the corner there. A fellow died here a while ago. Can't think of names.
She cleaned at a hotel, right? Simon?
Yeah. And so they both worked. My father, he worked in the summertime. He worked on the ice generally in the wintertime. They had to put up this ice then, you know, for refrigeration. He put up the goddamn as bunch of ice as you ever saw. I used to work in the ice every winter for quite a few winters. And tickled death get the job. My father worked there too. He worked on the pond. And I worked in the storehouse. And when mother was cooking, Simon was working for Hill, what is his name? The guy that is dead now and used to have that place on the corner.
Which corner, Erwin?
Huh?
Which corner?
Right across from the Farmers Trade Bank.
Victor Stanton?
No.
Oh, the Farmers and Traders.
Farmers and Traders Bank. Scott Grace.
Yes.
I knew it would come to me after a while. And she worked for him a while. And then she got a job as a clerk at the theater. She sold tickets to the theater for 13 years.
That must have been interesting.
Yeah, that was a good job. You can sit down and do that. And you get just money. You get no pay anywhere. No matter where you worked, you wouldn't get no pay. But you get just much pay doing that, she wouldn't. She was out taking ditch. So she liked that pretty good. That's when little Debbie come stay with us. When she was selling tickets to theater.
Your niece.
She was 2 years old in March. And when she came to our place, and she was in the very last of March, she became 3 years old. And that's when she liked Uncle Erwin pretty good. I couldn't get rid of that little damn nuisance. She'd get up in the morning, she'd be up in the morning before I was. And be all ready. She would, you want to go with Uncle Erwin? And I used to take her most of the time. Jesus, he was a nice little girl. Well, there was a lot of little people used to come to our place. John Harrigan used to be to our place more than he was to home. He used to like to come over. And he used to go with me when I was beaning.
When you were what?
When I was beaning, you know.
Out in the garden?
No, but when I had them, was a foreman for the Portland Bean Company down there. They went all around, planted beans, you know. Picked them and had a big truck come up from Portland, pick them up every day for a while when they started picking. And John used to always go around with me when I was going out to check a piece of beans. He'd be right under my nose. The cuss. And he was a good little fellow, old John was.
How about your card playing at the at Howard's restaurant?
What?
When you used to play cards up above Howard's.
Oh yes, we used to play cards above Howard's. They had a room outside. You'd go in from the outside for a while. And Archie Hism had that place. Bennett had a little cot right in the house, and he ran the place. He didn't have any home, and he ran a full place there. I guess he made a little money, and that pays rent anyway.
Did you make a little money?
Did I?
Yes.
No, I don't think nobody makes any money playing poker.
Win some, lose some?
Everybody loses their time anyway. But some days you're lucky. You make a little. If you make a little extra, you are apt to buy something extra, you know. Well, I made that, so I'll buy a little something extra. And then the next time you play, you get hooked, and then you lose a lot. And that's the way it goes. You don't make any money playing poker. It's just the fun of it.
What's Simon think of you playing cards?
I used to like to play for all kinds of cards. I like to play cribbage. I'm probably about as good a cribbage player as there is in this town. I don't know.
What's Simon think of you playing cards?
Who?
Simon.
Simon, she never cared a damn about playing cards. We play canasta sometimes. And, you know, that's a foolish game. You draw and draw and draw. After a while, you get quite a bit of cards on hand. And you get something you can lay down. If you have something you can lay down, you pick a pack. And I'd play with Simon, and I'd have something, you know, pretty good. And I'd say, well, I guess I'd I'd start picking them up. Simon would say, oh, don't pick them up now, let's wait till we go around a few times. I'd say, okay, and I'd put them back. Go around when he comes her turn, she'd pick them all up.
Who did you play cards with at Howard's restaurant?
Who do we play with?
Yeah.
Oh, gee whizzes. There was a lot of fellas. There was Harold Lannis and John Leonard and John Sutton and Peggy George and let's see, who else was it? Myself and there's some of the old fellas like Guy Allen and Foxy Coble and another old cuss that I used to play. The Foxy old cuss. But they were good poker players, you know. There's no trouble getting a poker game. And Beanie Drew always played. He lived up to Stewartstown. But when there was a card game on, someone would go and call him. By the gee whiz, Beanie would be down then inside of 10, 15 minutes, Beanie be right there. He used to like to play cards. But he used to make money, I think, playing cards. Not that he could play cards any better than some of us, but the idea was he had some money, and to make money playing poker, you got to have money enough so that you can, when you get your cards, you got to play them. You got to beat the other fellow, because if you don't, he's going to beat you, and you're going to lose. Well, Beanie Drew, I've seen him set up beside Beanie Drew, and he lose about $100 right off. And he reached in his pocketbook and pull out another bill, cash it. Somebody would cash it. He'd keep on playing. He'd swear that he hadn't lost a cent. He played just exactly the same after he lost $100 as he would if he'd won $100. And them are the kind of fellows that can make a little money playing cards. But you see, the rest of us, most of us, well, all of us that I mentioned, because John Sutton had money, and but you know, John Leonard didn't have any money, and I didn't have any money to speak of, and I don't know, and George probably had some money. Yeah, he always seemed to have, and that's the way it went. The fellows that didn't have too much money, they were scared. They were kind of shy about putting too much into it time. They're afraid they'd lose some more, see? And you can't make money that way. You got to play one way just as well as you do the other. If you lose, you got to play just the same in order to get it back. And Beanie used to do that. He had plenty of money, so he didn't care.
Did you ever have problems with the police playing cards up over the restaurant?
Police?
Yeah.
No, police all played with us.
Oh, they did?
Charles O was a judge. He played with us all the time. And Kelsey, Judge Kelsey was a cop. He used to play with us all the time. He could get off. Sometimes when he couldn't. And hell no, we never had no trouble with any police in Colebrook playing cards. They were all, Burley Kelsey used to play cards. I played with Burley Kelsey. That's George Kelsey's father. And I played with Al Hicks, the old man Hicks. It owned the lumber shed down there. And I played with what the hell is his name? I don't think Skinny Norris. I never played with Skinny Norris. I don't believe he ever played cards. I never knew that he did. He played everything else but cards.
Like what?
Like the women. Oh yes, he's a great woman's man, you know.
So there weren't any women allowed up at your card games?
Because women.
Right.
Yeah, they had. I don't think they have a card game now. I think.
No, but when you played cards, you didn't have any women up there.
Oh no.
Just a man's game.
Just a man played. Happy Colby was another one that played all the time. Who ran a few. You talk about a card game, someone and they flock around, you know, quick as the dickens.
Did they serve booze up there?
Yeah.
Beer?
No, they didn't sell booze.
No?
Happy to go up there playing poker. I sat right beside him lots of times. And he'd have a six-pack. And when he start playing, he'd open up a bottle. And he'd drink that. Then he'd play a while longer, then he'd open up another bottle, he'd drink a whole six-pack. And then I played with him one night, he couldn't see. He got so tight that he laid his head down on the table. And we played right around him. And when he wanted to borrow some money off me, I gave him $3. He borrowed $3 off me, and I knew damn well he'd lose it right off, which he did. And he didn't pay that back for a long time, and I never said nothing. One night, he was having a little luck, and he was ahead quite a lot. I said this would be a good time to ask him about that $3. Now $5. It was $5 I let him have. And I said, hey, Hap, you were having pretty good luck. Why don't you pay that $5 you borrowed the other night? I didn't borrow no $5 from you, he said. What are you talking about? He said, I never borrowed. I don't owe you any $5. You see, he'd forgotten all about it. And then he asked the fellows all around the table. He says, did I borrow $5 from no? And they all said yes. Well, I'm sorry. He reached in his pile and got a $5 bill. Give it to me. He'd always pay, but you know, you get tight like that. It's foolish to give him money because you knew he'd spend it right off. But we had some good times.
You lived in your house for 69 years, I think, right?
I think so. We come out then, and this is
1912.
1912, yeah. 1912, but this is
1996.
96. 2 from 6 is 4. 1 from 9 is 8. 84 years. But we haven't had that. You see, we haven't had that home for.
No, you sold it to the Gooches and moved to Monadnock Village.
Yeah, we moved up to Monadnock Village in 1912. No, it was in
No, it must have been in the 80s, 1980 or something.
Well, we've been up here. We've been up there in Monadnock Village about 25 years.
So you and Dad shared a house for a long time. Then you and he both lived in Monadnock Village, and then you and he both were here at the nursing home, huh?
Yeah.
Spent a lot of years together.
Well, I don't know. But it's been a long time anyway.
Freddie and Edgar were like brothers, weren't they?
Yeah. Well, we also go out and then worked hard to do what little we could, you know. Put it all together. Send Edgar to college. And that's what he wanted to do from the time he started the grammar school. He had his mind made up that he was going to college. And he would have gone if we hadn't given him a cent.
Pretty smart boy, wasn't he?
Yeah, but he would have gone to college, just saying. You can go to college and get a scholarship, you know, and you can work your way through if you want to. Of course, boys don't like to do that. They like to go to college and have a good time. But he would have done it if he had to. In fact, he did work down. He had a scholarship down to Princeton. He worked there for some, and he was kind of glad when he got through. That's one thing. That's one thing why we always was partial to that big order that what's the name of it now?
The Eastern Star or something like that, you mean?
No, it's a order that goes in to help everybody, the poor and what is funny, I forget so goddamn easy. Lately, I forget more than I used to. Good deal.
I think your memory's pretty good, Erwin. I think your memory's pretty good. It's better than mine.
But I was wondering what that place was. It's a place that they've got in New York that had the sign up. Now, what the hell was the name of that place?
I don't know, Erwin.
Anyway, when he got through Princeton, he had to go to Chicago. Well, he didn't know for sure where he was going to stay in Chicago, and he wanted to save all his money he could. So he was in New York, and he went down the street there in New York, and he saw this sign. It's a sign where they take anybody in, cheap.
Oh,
what the hell's the name?
The YMCA?
No, but something like that. Something like the YMCA. Only it isn't.
No, I can't think, Erwin.
And so we went in the office there, and to just one very non-fancy about it. Asked the fellow if he had room to take somebody in for the night. And they said, sure. And they gave Edgar his supper. He told me what he had. He had a good supper. And to give him a place to sleep, he said it was a cot, just a cot to sleep on, but he says it was clean and very good, and he slept good, and stayed there overnight, and he'd get up in the morning and they give him his breakfast, and he paid them what they asked. They didn't ask too much. And by doing that for Edgar, you know, it made us feel pretty darn good. And we used to send money to them regularly.
Is that the Salvation Army?
Salvation Army, that's it. Salvation Army. We used to send money regularly to them. And we sent them a lot of money.
Well, Erwin, I think we'll call it quits for tonight.
Yeah?
It's after 8. Thank you very much for talking on this machine with me.
Oh, I like to talk, but that's the only time I get to talk when somebody comes in. These people up here never talk to me, you know. And they never know that I was sitting here at the corner.
You ought to yell once in a while and say, hey, get in here and let's have some conversation.
Yeah, I guess well, I know they don't like me, but hell, they could say hello in a way.